Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and talk about none other than the Samsung Galaxy S21 and compare it to a phone that probably nobody wants to see, but the Samsung Galaxy S7. Now, the S7 came out like many years ago in 2016, almost 5 years ago. I think I've already done a video about this year covering it, but the S21 is the newer baddie in a way, if you will. And in some ways, the Samsung Galaxy S7 is actually a superior phone, which is super crazy. Now, I will leave, I guess, the S21 and some other phones I would recommend this year in the description below. You can pick it up from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, obviously the Samsung Galaxy S7 is, the older designed phone. It definitely doesn't look as good as something as the Galaxy S21. On the front of the Samsung Galaxy S7, you do have that 5.1-inch Super AMOLED display. And believe it or not, it's a 1440p panel, so this resolution is actually higher than the resolution that you're getting on the brand new device. Now, is it technically meaning that this device has a way better phone or a way better panel? No, I mean, there's still some characteristics that why this panel is better, but that's still super impressive that this thing has a higher resolution screen, more PPI and all that stuff. Other than that, it still has some burn-in on it, a lot of bezel around it, fingerprint sensor right here. But other than that, I will definitely tell you still a really good panel. It just happens that it has a lot of bezel. The Galaxy S21, though, with its 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED display, is definitely the far better panel here. I mean, there's no competition here. You have that fingerprint sensor in the display, no bezel really around it, hole punch display. It looks very sharp and it looks very beautiful. There's very little to hate on it. It is a lower resolution than the Galaxy S7, which is very weird, but other than that, I still think this panel looks very, very good. Now, you have USB Type-C on the bottom of the Galaxy S21 and micro USB on the S7, headphone jack as well on the S7. In terms of the thickness, I think the Galaxy S7 is a little bit thicker, but again, they kind of feel like the same thing. There's not really a big difference. On the back, here's another very strange thing, the Galaxy S21, which I don't know why there's so much light bleeding over, but the Galaxy S21 has a plastic back on the back. The Galaxy S7 has a glass back. Is it a big deal? It's totally up to you. You're going to throw a case on it anyway. I think it's kind of a weird thing that Samsung will go backwards, but I think something I'm even more upset about is the lack of micro SD card slot on the Samsung Galaxy S21. But guess what? The Samsung Galaxy S7 actually has that capability. How crazy is that? This phone came out in 2016. It has capability that the S21 doesn't have. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why Samsung did it, but at the end of the day, that's another cool feature that the S7 has, the Samsung Galaxy S21 has. So in terms of that, surprisingly, the Samsung Galaxy S7 is kind of like the more premium feeling phone, even though the S21 is like the more expensive triple camera setup, all that stuff. There's still some advantages for the S7 for sure, which is so crazy to me. So in terms of the outside, that pretty much covers it up. Now, this next segment is something that I have to hit on every single time, even between these two phones. From that first segment, you may have just realized, or just asked yourself, well, if you have the S7, why would you go and upgrade to the S21? Well, obviously, there's a ton of different things why you'd want to go to the S21, but the number one main reason is actually two different things, and it's always these two things together. It's the software and the battery life. Now, the battery life on the Galaxy S7 was actually pretty good, I'm not going to lie. It's definitely not perfect, but the first thing is the software. The Galaxy S7 literally stopped getting updates at Android Oreo, which was right before Samsung switched to One UI, and this is a pretty big deal in my opinion because you're still on Samsung experience. It's not horrible, it's not ugly, it's just not that good. Compared to stock Android, it's not that great of an experience. I never really liked it. I wish it did have something else going for it, but it's just full of features which I like, but it's just very bloated, and I never liked it. Samsung has essentially kind of tried to fix it. They haven't really gotten quite there, but it's still better. One UI 3 has been a step in the right direction, and you are severely outdated on the Galaxy S7. It did get some security updates here and there, but you're outdated. This phone is not getting any more updates. It's pretty much stuck where it's at. So that's a pretty humongous thing to keep in mind at the end of the day. So if you're trying to upgrade your device for one reason and one reason only, going from a Galaxy S7 to the Galaxy S21, the number one reason why I would recommend going is because of the software. You're just getting started here where you ended here many years ago. So that's a huge thing to keep in mind. I would hate to, for people just to pick up a Samsung Galaxy S7 and assume that it's going to last them forever. Now, if you're able to custom ROM your specific version, that's a different, standpoint. But between these two, you're pretty much outdated on the Galaxy S7. You're also getting a much better battery life on the Samsung Galaxy S21 as well. So I haven't tested it. I don't think anybody wants to see a test between these because I don't really think many people are owning this phone. But definitely when it comes down to it, the S21 wins in software and battery life for sure. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Now we'll go ahead and do a speed comparison between these two phones too. I don't know how good of a speed comparison it's going to be, but we're going to do it. The Samsung Galaxy S7, when it first came out, had that, I guess, Exynos 88090 octa chipset. Maybe there's a Qualcomm version, I'm not too sure. And it had 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the Samsung Galaxy S21 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. Okay, now that we're back, let me go and clear all the apps in the background. And as you can see, a couple here, none here. Let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And Galaxy S21 far faster there. Galaxy S7 noticeably behind. Messages, 3, 2, 1. And again, look how much faster the Galaxy S21 is. Hopping out of the app, it does take a little bit of a delay on this device. Play Store, 3, 2, 1. Again, Galaxy S21 way faster. I guess I have to redo every single time on the Galaxy S7 or any device that's older. I'm not really too sure why that happens. I guess we can do camera as well. 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, even that, the Galaxy S21 is the faster one. I want to try an app like Settings though. An app like Settings typically is like one of the faster apps, but sometimes it may take an extra second. As you can see, I can't even find it. Oh, right here. 3, 2, 1. And even that app, it makes the Galaxy S7 seem so old, even from that basic app, which is so crazy. Now, I do have a bunch of these third-party apps that we can go and get into. I'm not too sure which ones I have similar. Let's do Stack, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, the S21 just flew right by that. Did get a little bit of a pop-up on the S7, but still, the S21 was the far faster one there. Hopping out of this one, let's go ahead and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, again, the Galaxy S21 is just flying by. Samsung Galaxy S7 a little bit behind, still not like a crazy big deal. Actually, no, this was a pretty crazy big difference. This was crazy on the Samsung Galaxy S7 being so much slower. And this is what I like seeing. This phone is much older. This one is the newer one. This one should be so much slower. Like, I want this one to be slower. I don't want it to be slower, but I want the Galaxy S21 to be a much faster device. Gameplay-wise, they kind of have the same thing going on, not a big difference at all, but definitely the Galaxy S7 was slower. Snake versus blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, the Galaxy S21 is the far faster one here. S7 did take a little bit of time. Again, not an insane thing, but still a pretty noticeable difference at the end of the day. And in terms of gameplay, they kind of had the same thing going on, but the Galaxy S7 was so much slower. And I think that pretty much covers up all the main apps that I wanted to test. There are probably some smaller ones I can go and test through, like here. Let's do Clock, 3, 2, 1. I feel like the Clock app on here looks so much cooler. I just realized that. I don't know why it looks so much more outdated on this one. Let's go ahead and do Calendar, 3, 2, 1. Again, Galaxy S21 is so much faster. Galaxy S7 is so much slower. And I think the Galaxy S7 still actually performs pretty decent. I don't want to say it's like completely horrible, but all these little minor things, you're definitely going to be getting a much better experience on something like the Galaxy S21 than on the Galaxy S7. So RAM-wise, I'm pretty sure it's going to be better on the Galaxy S21. Again, even getting into the app here is so much faster on the Samsung Galaxy S21 as well, almost at the S7. So in terms of speed comparison, we already know Galaxy S7 is slower, Galaxy S21 is better. So in terms of speed comparison, that pretty much covers it up. Let's go and hit on the cameras. Now this is such a goofy comparison. The Galaxy S7 has a single wide-angle lens. The Samsung Galaxy S21 has a wide-angle lens, telephoto lens, and an ultra-wide sensor. In terms of the UIs on both, again, kind of the same thing. I guess, I think the UI still on the S7 looks better. I don't know what's going on here. The S21 seems like it has a lot more going on. Definitely more features on the Samsung Galaxy S21. The S7 could shoot 4K at 30 on the back, 5 megapixel front-facing camera. The Galaxy S21 definitely kills it here. 8K capability on the back, 4K at 60 on the front. Definitely much better camera on the Galaxy S21. Now, I don't want to sit here and say the Galaxy S7 was a bad camera by any means, because I think it was actually a pretty decent camera when it first came out, and I still think it has some capability. When I take a lot of these photos outdoors, I'm actually pretty surprised how good of a camera this thing is. But as I've stated before, a lot of these older cameras suffer from one main thing, and that typically is straight from the lack of additional sensors. I just did the 10R comparison too, and same thing there. I wish this thing had more sensors. I think the fact that it only has one single wide-angle lens is okay, but for an older phone, the things that keep it lasting the longest is like multiple sensors. You look at phones like the Galaxy S9 Plus, the LG G8 or something like that. I don't know. You look at these older type of phones, the iPhone 7 Plus, more sensors tend to be a better experience. And that's where something like the Galaxy S21 is going to kill it. Because even 4, 5, 6 years from now, this thing is still going to be a pretty decent, camera setup for the most part because of that triple camera setup. You can zoom in a ton, but you can also zoom out a ton as well. And when you have a phone like this, you're definitely going to be you're going to be fine for a camera setup for sure. So in terms of the cameras, that pretty much covers it up. The Galaxy S21 for sure is the winner. So to kind of end off the video and to answer the question, I mean, should you pick up the Galaxy S7? Should you get the S21? Well, the Galaxy S7 is the best phone here. You should definitely pick this one up over here. Totally joking. You guys already know. My jokes don't even come across anymore. There's just really no competition here. The Galaxy S7 is a pretty outdated phone. I think the hardware though is still surprisingly great. Like when you feel this phone, it feels better than the Samsung Galaxy S21 for sure. Like you definitely feel like you still have $1,000 phone on the Samsung Galaxy S7. The front is a little bit deceiving, but the back and just the way it feels, the wireless charging still, micro SD card slot, things like that. I mean, it makes this phone feel so much better than it is. But this phone is really messed up from the software. That's definitely one of the worst aspects of this phone. I don't even know what's going on here. You're severely outdated on something like the Samsung Galaxy S7, whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S21, and this is just the beginning of this phone. This phone has such a long life cycle in front of it. Like you can get this phone today, you can get it next year, you can even get it the year after, and it's still going to be a relevant phone. Also because it still has software updates, it's still going to get supported. It's still going to have a long life cycle in front of it. And at the end of the day, that is an insanely important thing to keep in mind. So I think when it comes down to these two, I mean, for sure, the Samsung Galaxy S7 is, a really good looking phone still. I like some characteristics of it. Like I said, the micro SD card style glass on the back, the feeling of it. It really isn't even like a crazy amount slower than the S21. I was expecting a lot more, like, I guess, speed decrease from this phone. It was definitely slower, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. But the Galaxy S21 is the far better phone. The software is going to be better. 120 Hz refresh rate, fingerprint sensor, reverse wireless charging, all the good stuff. You're getting a much better phone here than the S7. But I still want to give the S7 some credit. I mean, this is still a pretty impressive phone on that, at the end of the day. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. If you guys want to pick up, the phones that I would recommend, the S21 and other devices, links will be down in the description. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.